Hello, good evening, everyone. So today our group discussion title is How Can Malaysia Beat Indonesia in terms of GDP and PPP? But before that, let's have a little bit of introduction about ourselves. My name is Tiwagar, can call me Tiva. My matrix number is B20EM0041, and I'm from mechanical engineering. So I'll pass it to Amira.
Hello, my name is Nur Amira binti Abdul Amiruddin. My matrix number is A19EM0390 and I am from Pure Mechanical Engineering.
All right, next up.
Hello, my name is Zulus Alspa and you can call me Zul. And my metric number is A19EM04X7 and I'm from Mechanical Engineering. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So we have three mechanical engineers in the house here today. And before we begin our discussion about the top title or question, which is how can Malaysia beat Indonesia in terms of GDP and PPP? So let's start with the meaning of or what are GDP and PPP. Okay, guys, is that okay? Okay, cool. All right. So first of all, GDP is called the gross domestic product, which is in a way it's commonly used in all countries to measure the size of an economy. So it's actually like a formula. GDP is like a formula, and how to calculate the formula is you will include the consumption of the rakyat or the what do you call it, the people of the country. They also include the government spending, investment by the country, and also the net export. So the net export is actually export minus import. So all of this you add up and you get the GDP of a country. And the goal of every country is to aim for a higher GDP, because a higher GDP means a standard of living, a higher standard of living. So that's GDP. Moving on, for PPP, so it's another way of a popular macroeconomic analysis metric to compare economy productivity between countries. So in other words, PPP is the meaning of PPP is purchasing power parity. So a fun fact, do you guys know that Big Mac, the Big Mac from McDonald's is used to determine the country's PPP. So the higher the price of the Big Mac, meaning the lower is the PPP of the people of the country. So if you guys want to live a better or higher standard, try to aim for a country that has a cheaper value of Big Mac. Okay, so that's a little bit about GDP and PPP. So let's start with the real conversation of how do we want to beat Indonesia in terms of GDP and PPP. So shall we start with Amira?
Okay, hello. Okay, first, in my opinion, I think to beat Indonesia, we should increase Malaysia exports of services and goods in agriculture. Okay, like Tiva mentioned, GDP is a total of consumption plus with investment, plus with government spending, and plus with export minus import. Therefore, by increasing the export, we can increase GDP. Why I choose agriculture specifically is because our agriculture sector can be improved so that we can increase export volume of our palm oil, rice, rubber, cocoa, and even local fruit to be Indonesia like we used to. Okay. When exports are greater than import, next export are positive. So if net exports are positive, our nation will have a positive balance of trade. And we can also increase exchange rates with will increase PPP, and also it attract more foreign direct investment or FDI. Okay. What do you think, Zul?
Okay, thank you, Amira. And I actually do agree with Amira, but I want to add some of my opinion from my perspective. I think the way to improve GDP in Malaysia is to increase our net export of our country. Our country must increase export to other countries and at the same time decrease the import value from the other countries. But if we look at it from a wider perspective, this scenario can be done only if we have a good quality of product produced by our country, so that other countries want to buy from us. To make it happen, we must produce a very good quality of products and services that can stand up on the same level or even higher level than other countries. That's it for me.
Right. So looks like increasing the Malaysia's export of services in goods of agriculture is a way to increase their GDP. So I think that, yeah, Amir, that's a really good point. And I feel like Zul also kind of like support that statement. But in Malaysia, uh, with the current economy state, do you guys think there's any other ways of increasing the Malaysia's GDP and PPP? Maybe Zuhusni, do you have any other points?
I do have, but I want to add some extra point from my previous point. In addition, if we want to earn more, we must spend more. It is because the good quality of the product can only be obtained if we have good and skillful worker and machines. So I think the government must increase the minimum wages of a worker in this country to get used to the maximum potential of the worker. So the worker has a reasonable reason for them to work equivalent to their salary. Other than that, I think the government must spend more on the new machines or to increase the quality and the rate of the product produced. So at the same time, we can increase the export value to the other country. That's all.
Okay, so that's really interesting points. So one way the country can increase the export of the country in terms of agriculture, like what Amira said, and at the same time, the government should also increase the minimum wage of the employers in Malaysia, workers in Malaysia, so to increase the spending power of the consumer, right? Is that correct, Zulhusni?
Yes.
Okay. So I think it does, in a way, help the country go boost its GDP, because yeah, you get more, the rakyat or the people of the country get more money, earn more money, hence they spend more. At the same time, the country also is increasing its export, which overall is will increase the country's GDP. So does that mean that we can do both of these things, or should we just choose one? What do you think, Amira?
In my opinion, I think we can do both. Like for example, take point from Zulhusni by increasing minimum wage to be more than Indonesia. I think by raise minimum wage, we indirectly will increase consumer spending, and also with increased community level economic activity, and more people will support local business, which is very good to boost our economy. Since consumers have more spending power, the demand for goods and services will increase as well. Other than that, by increasing minimum wage to be more than Indonesia, we will create more job opportunity and increase job employment rate, which can also increase both GDP and PPP. Right, Zul? What
Yes.
do you think?
I think you have a good point, but I want to add some of my point. The reason why if we look right now, the scenario right now, many people from Indonesia move to our country and work in Malaysia, but there are less people from Malaysia that work in Indonesia. This this scenario tell us that our worker in Malaysia are too demand to choose a job, so they want a high standard job, and then at the end they don't have any job to be done. So this is very what we call very bad attitude of our worker. So I think this is why worker in Malaysia demand for maximum wage, but they don't want to have a maximum effort.
I think that's really true, Zosni. Like, I do realize Malaysians are a bit, I would say, lazy in a way. They try
Yes.
to they try to get the most by doing less. You
Yes.
get what I mean?
Yes, yes.
So yeah, probably that's a good point too. Indonesia's, like, we can see they're really open to coming to Malaysia for job hunting as drivers, as housemates. But I don't think Malaysia would go to Indonesia to do the same, right? So yeah, I think
Yes.
that's a good point. That's a good point. How about like Malaysia build infrastructures, like increasing the public transport in Malaysia, because in a way does that also creates a more how to say, a higher income for the country by building more transportation.
Siva, I think that is a very good idea. Actually, by improving the transportation in our country, which also can help to increase Malaysia exports of services and goods in agriculture, like I said before. This is because more people can go to urban or to rural area to do agriculture. Other than that, by improving transportation, when our agriculture improve, potential for development of agriculture and tourism can increase, which can contribute to the domestic economic activity of this country. So therefore, if government improve transportation in our country, people can go to rural area to visit all these farm to buy, which also give back to our economy. What do you think, Zul?
I think I have slightly disagree with Nur Amirah, because I think public transport is only efficient in city like Kuala Lumpur, Johor Bahru, Bersamat, like ada uh, border country, because very high cost to construct it. So not many people can have the full use of public transport. Like I say, the public transport only focus on the city like Kuala Lumpur and a busy city. And I think if you say the public transport is
I think Zul is lagging. Are you okay there, buddy? Is it me, Amira, or is Zul lagging also? Ah, okay. Looks like Zul has a connection problem, but it's okay. I think we do get his point of how we can build transportation, but it shouldn't be just focused on the main city, right, Amira?
Mm, I think if we, like Zul said before, um, right now the public transportation only focus on main city. So government can maybe develop infrastructure to
Mm-hmm.
rural area, like improve the road. I think that can be done by our government.
Mm. Because in a way, when there's more public, oh sorry, there's if there's more government asset, and the public uses those assets, in a way, it's a rotating cycle. The money just flows through,
Yes.
and that's how we increase the GDP of a country. So maybe we can. That's another point right there. So we already have 3 points. Number one, to increase the country's export in terms of agriculture. And then number two is to increase the wages of
Minimum
the people, of Malaysians, so that they have a higher spending power. At the same time, increase the public transportation network, so that many Malaysians all over Malaysia can connect and run their business. Yeah. Is
Yes,
that
that's
all?
true.
That's true, right? Okay, so since we have another 4 more minutes left for our discussion, do you guys have any other ideas that you guys read around, or any news that you guys heard about in Indonesia or in Malaysia?
I have another point to increase Malaysia GDP to beat Indonesia. This can be done by increased labor productivity.
Okay.
This is because I think right now Malaysia has labor shortage, and this because maybe Malaysia, although Malaysia has lower population than Indonesia, but like before, I think maybe it's related to wage. We have lower minimum wage than Indonesia actually.
Oh, really?
Jakarta, yes, Jakarta actually have higher minimum wage than us. I think in the future, if we does not increase Malaysia GDP, more people will go out from Malaysia to Indonesia.
Yeah, that's
What do you
true.
think, Iva?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, actually, I just knew about that minimum wage of Indonesia is higher than Malaysia. And if you guys know, like Indonesia is moving the capital city from Jakarta to Kalimantan. So in a way, I do see a point where in the future, once they totally move the capital of the country, sorry, not capital city, but capital of the country from Jakarta to Kalimantan, I really feel that Sarawak and Sabah will develop rapidly, because like Sabah, Sarawak, and Kalimantan is all attached together,
Yeah,
right?
nearby. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, and also I think in Sabah also they are building the Pan Borneo Highway. So I think once that
Yeah,
is
I heard about
done,
that.
yeah, you guys heard about that?
Yes, it just maybe due to some government issues, political issues
Mm-hmm.
that
Speaking
can be
of
done.
political issues, right? I think that's another that's another affecting factor to a country's GDP and PPP. Like a country's politics need to be stable in order to have a good GDP and PPP. So I think the next election is coming soon, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and now
Uh,
that you guys follow politics?
Yes,
pardon?
yes. The PRU, right?
Yeah, pilihan raya
Yeah.
umum.
Umum.
Yeah.
Next
Yes.
year?
I want to add, actually, can I add something?
Yeah, sure, Zo.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I do agree with Tiva that he said that some of our political economy in our country, like before, they say that our minimum wage is 1,500 is our minimum rate, minimum wage.
True.
But I think the issue here is the implementation. The idea is there, but the implementation is very slow and take times in our country. So I think maybe this minimum wage will fully what we call implemented around 5 or 6 years above, right, in the future.
True, true.
That's
I
all.
mean, Malaysia is heading in the correct direction, I would say. So it just takes some time lah for our GDP and PP to heal. Yeah, I think that was a good discussion. We have so many points. I think the last point was about political
Pol-
balance, right? That was the fourth point. So I think in order to really boost Malaysia's GDP and PPP, do you guys think that we should just do all four together?
Yes, I do agree.
Yeah. How about you, Zul?
I think yes, but we must do it stage by stage, not all at once.
Focus one by one.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So with that being said, do you guys think that we should focus on increasing the export or increasing the minimum wage or build more public transportation, or have a stable politics? Which one do you guys feel is your number one point, a number one idea to improve Malaysia's GDP and PPP? For me personally, I would choose for increasing Malaysia's export. How about you, Amira?
I also agree with Viva. By increasing Malaysia export of services and goods, it
Mm-hmm.
indirectly will increase minimum wage,
Mm,
political stability, and increase transportation.
okay,
How
that's a
about you,
good point.
Zul?
Okay, for me, I think the main part is to maintain the political stability, because like before, we know that our country is very in a bad condition in political. So I think if we have a good and a stable political economy, we can reconstruct and have a good what we call have a good
Economy
construction
growth.
of our country. Yes, thank you, Tibaga.
Okay, actually, Zul, you kind of like changed my mind. Now I really think that, yeah, even we increase the export and stuff like that, end of the day, it's all made, the decision is made by these politicians. So I think the main point here, I agree with you. The main point to increase Malaysia's DP and PPP should be from a stable politics background. So yeah, I think I would vote for that, Zul's name. Amira, do you want to hop on board, or do you think still export is the best?
I think yes, I do agree with both of you.
Mm,
Government really plays a lot of factor for everything. Like they
mm.
can do marketing. They even do decision to make
Yeah.
policies. Like that.
Okay, so I think that's about it. Let's conclude right there. So to if Malaysia want to beat Indonesia in terms of GDP and PPP, we really should have a stable politics, and then only the economy will grow and our GDP and PPP will increase. So I think that's about it, guys. So let's wrap up. Thank you so much for this lovely discussion. Good night. Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.